Alright, here you see my conical fermenter. You can see here, this is the lip seal. It just goes on like this, just rolls on. And what we'll do is we'll start assembling this to get it ready to receive the chilled boiled wort. Put one plug in here that just seals that fermenter hole up. And this other stopper here can go in there. And then what we'll do is I'll set the camera back up on the tripod and we'll go about sealing the lid down. This is actually a conical fermenter that I made up myself while I was living in the United States. Bought the hopper by itself and bought the lid by itself and had a few people do the welding and whatever on it. But it's 3 legs, 12.5 gallons total, so I can brew a 40 litre batch in here, no problems at all. It's absolutely great, and I'll show you why a little bit down the track. What we're going to do here is go through the process of tightening down the fermenter lid. I've got a lid cover made here with a couple of holes to put the bubbler airlocks through and whatever. Just some 6-ply, a few holes cut in it, a few bits of metal around here. Then I use these little bits of wire with hooks on it. Hook that down onto the rail there, and then use these little wing nuts here. What I've found with these conical fermenters is that with the seal around the lid, if you don't have a really good way of tightening down the lid, that seal actually doesn't seal properly. Now, even though I've never had an infection when that actually occurred, when it didn't seal properly, I tend to be a bit on the paranoid side, because the last thing you want to be doing when you go to all this effort to make a nice beer is to end up with an infection of some sort in your beer, because it's just a lot of time, effort and money pretty much gone to waste when you've got to tip it down the drain, especially when you do what I do, and there's probably a few others out there that do all grain brewing, that when you're brewing up, you're almost better off making a double batch than a single batch, because it doesn't take any extra effort to do a double batch, it doesn't take any extra time to do a double batch. All it takes is just the capacity to be able to fit it into a fermenter and fit it into your mash tun and your kettle, and rather than brewing 19 litres, you can brew a full 38 litres, 40 litres at a time, and that really does save a lot of time and effort. You know, one brew day and you get 2 kegs worth of beer, and I don't know many people who complain about that kind of efficiency. So now this here is one of the reasons that I really enjoy my conical fermenter. One of the reasons, which we're not going to show today, is the ease of cleaning it. You just whip the lid off, scrub it with a stainless steel scrubby and some soap, and it's beautiful and clean. The other reason why I love it is this little device here. Let me just turn the one over here. This here is a little steam generator. Buy them on eBay for like 40 bucks, I think. Do not need to use chemicals when you've got one of these for sterilising. What I've done is I've bunged this hole up here, got another hole there. I just pop the nozzle for the steam generator straight into that plug there, balance that precariously there, and then what happens is it produces a lot of steam, very, very hot, and totally steam pressurises the kettle, the fermenter here. What I do is I leave that tap open there so some of the water, as it condenses, can come out of the tap of the fermenter. But once I know that the fermenter is really quite hot, I slowly close that tap off so it pressurises a little bit, and that absolutely kills any bacteria or any nasties that might be left over inside the fermenter after I've cleaned it. To date, never had an infection in it while using my conical fermenter. As I said, the easiest thing to do is to just scrub it out with a stainless steel scrubby and then sterilise it with this steam generator here. Absolutely perfect. You know, cleaning glass carboys, not a problem. You know, you can sanitise them, whatever. But as far as guaranteeing cleanliness, this thing here is an absolute beauty. So we'll sterilise that up, then she'll be ready to take the chilled wort when it comes out of the kettle. Alright, what we're doing now, while the boil's happening, we've got about 15 minutes left in it, well maybe even only 10 minutes left in it before the flavour hops have got to go in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start cleaning my counterflow chiller here. I've drained all the cold water side out of it. Just leave that like that. What I've done is I've wrapped the outlet. Can you see it there? Yep. Well, let me adjust this here for you. There we go. Still can't see it? Yeah, there you go. I've wrapped the outlet of the counterflow chiller, which goes into the fermenter when the wort is chilled. Wrapped it up in foil. What I've also got in there, you see this here, is an air line from an aquarium pump, and I've got a micro stainless steel micro pour stone on the end of that, and what I do is I aerate my wort with that before I chuck the yeast in. So what I've done is I've wrapped that up in foil like that. Once again, just like I did with the fermenter, I use my steam generator. I attach the steam generator nozzle to this hose here like that, and then switch it on. It'll start generating steam. It'll push steam through the wort inlet. You can actually see that how badly that's stained from all the brews that I've pushed through it. But put steam in through there. It goes through the chiller through here. Steam will eventually come out the bottom here, and that'll tell me that it's sanitised. What I do is I chuck that in the bucket there, just so that any water that comes out during the process doesn't go all over my floor. And that'll be the process for sanitising the counterflow chiller. Alright, now there's a nice bit of footage there that shows how well the steam generator works on cleaning these things out and sterilising. You can see the steam just pouring out of that right there, so you know that is very, very hot and very, very sterilised. So that's the counterflow chiller ready to go. Alright, what we have here is all but the final stage. We've whirlpooled it, ready to chill it. We've got everything sterilised and fertilised, whatever you want to call it. So now what I'm going to do here is peel some foil off here. Get that. Get the cap off the fermenter. Now carefully, because this is all sanitised, I've got to just very easily drop that in there. And that's already started pumping air. I've already got that turned on. And there's a bit of a breeze blowing through here, so what I'll do is I'll cover that there like that. That should stop any nasties falling in. Alright, we're ready now to start the counterflow chiller process. What I'll do is I'll turn the water on there, get the water flowing through the chiller, open up the kettle. You can see that flowing through there beautifully. And that will just all of a sudden start flowing through the whole counterflow chiller. There it goes now. It's just started pouring into the fermenter there. Get that flowing as fast as possible. So it's coming out of the kettle and it's still boiling hot. Can't touch that there, but when it comes out the bottom of the counterflow chiller, it's nice and cool. What I'll do is I'll open that wide out to make sure that the water's flowing through there as much as possible. And that is pretty much that. We're ready to start fermentation. What I'm going to do is let a little bit of that flow in there and grab the yeast. And an extra little bit of foil. So I'm using a Swiss Lager yeast, which is a very clean fermenting yeast. Doesn't produce too much of a profile. What I'll do here is I'll make a very rudimentary kind of funnel. Let's see if I can find where my finger is. There it is. Make a very rudimentary funnel. And what I'll do is I'll pop this other plug off the fermenter here. And I'll pop that funnel into there. And then I'll dump the yeast in. Because what I want to do is I want the yeast to mix in with the wort while the aerator is going. That will give the yeast a great start to get all agitated and stirred up with that wort while the oxygen's getting dissolved in there. Pop that plug back in there. That. Put the there just to stop any nasties falling in. Alright, so right now all we've got to do is wait for the rest of the wort to flow into the fermenter here, and then the interesting part of the day comes. Clean up. Well, that's pretty much that. The Amber Lager is going into the fermenter. I've pretty much showed you the whole process right the way from ingredients, blending, milling, water calculation, the whole thing. So I hope you've enjoyed this little brew session.